Right on time. Made it right on time. Uh, if you're new to the pod, to the live stream, this is the Thirsty Deer Studio. I'm Thirsty Deer. I'm Gary. Thirsty Deer is the name I put my music out under. And this is November 6th, 16th. 6th. November 6th. I've been doing a lot of work in the studio, and my days kind of run together. In the year of the Lord, 2025, and we're here talking music like we always do. We're going to talk about some music news. We're going to talk about this day in history with music, and we're going to talk about what I've been doing in the studio because it's my podcast, damn it. And I've been doing a lot of work, man. Put out a new song just on Halloween. It's doing pretty good on the streaming because of being playlisted, and I want to talk about that and what that means. I had no input in this being playlisted. It just happened to get on this playlist on Spotify, and it's helping it move along just a little bit. I wish I could decide which songs get playlisted and all that, but I don't get to do that. But maybe, these songs getting out there and getting heard more might be a good thing. On this one, I've done a little bit of paid promo. I've been watching these things about like the music industry and how it is now on YouTube, and that's something I really hadn't been exploring with YouTube. Like, I watch a lot of guitar channels. I watch Rick Beato. I watch a lot of people, Pete Thorne, Dave Friedman. There's a lot of channels I watch and a lot of stuff I watch. But I've just been recently, it's like it's just started appearing in my feed, all this stuff about the modern music industry and paid promotions and things like this. This is something I've done to a very, very minor extent, like maybe spend $20 on a song or something, and people talk about if you really want shit to do good, like spend thousands of dollars on a song, $1,000 a song. And it's just crazy to me. Like, I hate spending anything on a song. I think it should all be on its own merit. If you're in the chat, first of all, hit that like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment in the chat. We can talk about anything you want to talk about on the podcast. I'm going to get into the music news like I always do and the history, and we'll play some music. I like to start things off with a song and finish them off with the song. So let's listen to the jam I just put out on Halloween. We're not just going to listen, we're going to watch the music video as well. And I also put a YouTube video out today. My first long form video in a while. I've put out 2 songs since I've started doing this live streaming, but mainly I've been concentrating on this live streaming, and it hasn't gotten off as quickly as I'd like to a good start. Usually people are catching the live streams later. Some of that might be because of the times. I do some of these live streams late, like now, like 9 o'clock. But the algorithm, it's really hard to get it working for you when you're trying to do new things. It seems like. So I put out a long form video today. It's done pretty well. It's got about 120 views right now, which is good. If any of my people from the music studio group that I'm in happen to check out the live stream, welcome. Leave me a comment, say what's up. But let's get into this song. This is called Don't Be Precious. So if you go onto any of your streaming platforms, type in Don't Be Precious and type in Thirsty Deer, you will get this song. And I really like this song. It sounds great. I think it's very competitive. I make sure to always get my LUFS up to, where it sounds competitive, because the last thing you want is something being louder or more punchy that comes before or after your music, because our minds automatically perceive loudness as that sounds better. So you don't want to have a track in streaming that isn't as loud as most of the stuff around it. It's just a thing. So let's listen to Don't Be Precious, and I'll play the music video too. You can check out, it's just a tracking video here in the studio. Let me make sure I've got not the instrumental version, but the one with vocals. And here we go. I'll mute my mic, and I'll catch you on the flip at the end of the song. Here we go. I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't live a day inside, and I don't know why. You try with me, if you tell me to leave, just one more time, I ain't never coming back around here no more. Go and find myself, get lost in the woods. I know she'll come too. Oh, and she like it rough. Don't be too pressed if you don't love what you do. I can't get what I want if I stay here with you. Don't be too precious if you don't love what you do. I can't get what I want if I stay here with you. If it stokes the fire, I'll melt the ice. Don't put her on the shelf, and don't waste her time. She's not so precious, and she don't play nice. Come on home with me, let's take all night. Don't be too precious if you don't love what you do. I can't get what I want if I stay here with you. Don't be too precious if you don't love what you do. I can't get what I want if I stay here with you. Oh, all right. So there it is. That's the new song. I'm really happy with that guitar solo. I like that guitar solo. I like the vocal. That one came together fairly quick, and like the way I am, man, I'm ready to track drums on a new one. I've got one ready. It's very basic. It's just a couple of guitars and the bass track laid down right now, but the drums are ready to go on. Then I'm ready to write vocals. And usually I'll put in some fills and flourishes, maybe some pads and synths, and some percussion like kabasa, shaker, tambourine. That's the kind of stuff I like to put in there. I'm really liking things kind of sparse lately. I think it sounds very rock and roll. Like a lot of my stuff that has synths are very cool, but some of them sound a little more elaborate. And a lot of times I'm just looking for that, very rock and roll, like classic sounding shit. And in my studio here, I have a lot of great gear. But if you watch my channel or listen to my music, I've put out 12 songs since the beginning of 2004. And I work a full time job. I work 40 hours a week. I'm also a full time dad. I have my son 100% of the time. The only time he isn't right at my hip is when I'm at work, and then my mom has him. So, um, you know, that's a pretty good amount of work to get out, I feel like, for a year and a half. And that's what you have to do if you want to have any kind of recognition at this. And, like, you know, it's just crazy. You have to do it for the love of just doing it, because you get on here and, like, now, nobody's clicked on the live stream. It is what it is. I'm still going to talk about it and do what I do because people will watch later. But algorithms, if you let it bother you, they'll piss you off to no end, and you'll be like, I'm not even going to do it. But music is greater than that. And I really feel like if you do things for the right reason, then it's fulfilling anyway. But uh, hopefully, you build up some true fans that way. And, who knows how things are going to go with anybody's situation. I've been playing music a long time. I started on drums first when I was 12, and then I started playing guitar the next year when I was 13, and I just love doing it, right? So if you can relate to that, subscribe to the channel, hit the like. I really want, people to interact with. And I'm not the best at reaching out to people a lot of times. A lot of people build their channels off of interviews or collaborative efforts that they make with other musicians. And I really just kind of do my own thing, and I like it that way. I've been in bands in the past, and it's like they don't work out for one reason or another most times, but I can make the music the way I want to make it. And as you can see, it's an overdub process that I do, but I get great sounds in here. I've got great gear. I can talk about great gear. If somebody wants to talk about great gear, get in the chat and talk to me about great gear. Or if you're watching this later, talk to me about great gear. We can do that. But really, it's all about making music for me. So what do you guys know about playlists? Because the playlist has really helped us song on Spotify. It's on a playlist called New Heat, DistroKid New Heat playlist. And it's not getting a lot of views or listens, but it's getting some, which is nice, because I've got songs that, get listens, but it usually takes them a while to get rolling. And this song just came out on Halloween, and it's already starting to get more listens, which is, it's great. It's great when you put in a lot of work and at least people are actually getting a chance to hear it, right? Because the algorithm can completely shut things down where people don't even if they wanted to know, they don't see it, unless they're really watching what you do. But let's get into some of the music news, because that's what we do on here. Too, it's a good way to not make things all about me, because it's not all about me. I just make music and love doing it, and that's what I have to talk about a lot of the time, because that's what I'm doing in here. Also, before we go any farther, I do want to acknowledge, because I'm just outside of Louisville, Kentucky, in southern Indiana, and Louisville is my place. It's where I've always been, and we just had a big catastrophe on Tuesday. A UPS plane crashed. We're a UPS hub here, and everybody on the plane died, and the plane flew into some buildings. I'm sure you've seen it if you've caught any kind of news or been on any kind of media. I'm sure you've seen this. It looks like something out of a movie. It's just a huge fireball when this plane crashes and goes into like a place like where they, like a junkyard, pull apart kind of thing, grade A auto parts, and a lot of the people that were there didn't make it. There's still, like yesterday, the first day they were saying 7 people. Now it's up to 13, and it sounds like it can grow even more from that. From the fatalities. So I just want to say that we're Louisville always sticks together, and we're praying for the people and the families, and it's a very sad thing. People's whole world just gets changed in an instant, and that's why if there's something you love to do, like music, like I do music, I raise my son. Both those things are my loves. Number one, my son, and music two is what I do. It's before I had him, it's what what gave me peace, and so I do it. And back when I started playing music, there wasn't the opportunity to have a studio really, unless you had a whole lot of money to buy outboard gear and tape machine, things like this. You could maybe do like a Tascam kind of 4-track recording that was more like a demo, but it wasn't really a way to get music out there. And now that I can have a studio, I work hard to put things in my studio. I've had a lot of these instruments for a very long time, since I was a teenager, but now I'm putting in the pro audio gear so I can make music and make records that sound like that. And I try not to waste no time or wish my time away. But let's talk about music news. Oh man, I've just had a lot on my mind because I've been putting out a lot of projects. So let me show you also, before we get into that, let me show you the thumbnail for the new video that just came out today. This is about a 30-minute video about outboard gear. And let's see if I can find the thumbnail. Is this it? Yeah, okay. So here is what you're going to be looking for if you want to see the new video. It's on the channel, and that's the thumbnail for the video. It's called "Do Not Buy Outboard Gear Until You Watch This." And besides talking about all the outboard gear and what I think you should buy, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer right now. It's mic preamps. A pair of mic preamps is really going to take you a long way, especially if you're tracking, but even if you're just mixing songs for other people. Mic preamps, really, if you put them on the 2 bus of your mix, it's really going to, if you do something like a Neve or a Chandler TG2, like I have here, it's really going to open up the sound of your mix. Give you some harmonics, make things sound, take some of that harsh top end off that digital can give you. It's really a great thing just to run mics through mic preamps on your 2 bus on the way out, as you're exporting the song. I usually put them not last in my chain, but I'll put them, like I usually run a UA Ampex tape machine, and there I go doing that. It's zooming in. A UA Ampex ATR 102 tape machine plug-in, and then I run Brainworks Master Dust Pro as my limiter and like LUFS meter. And right before the tape machine in that chain is where I run through the outboard gear. So it's like you're coming off a console basically and going into the tape machine, running through those mic preamps and the transformers. That's what it's doing in theory. So let me take a drink real quick. I'm getting a little frog in my throat. I wish someone would click on the stream. This is a lot easier to do if someone is in the chat talking to you, But so in the news for today, big thing in the news is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees were named. I haven't seen anything about the induction ceremony, but they've just named the inductees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for 2026. And those include Cyndi Lauper, Outkast. We talked about Outkast last week on the live stream because last week was the anniversary of Stankonia coming out. That came out in 2001, I think. Either 2000 or 2001. I just did it on last live stream now. I've forgotten. I think it was 2001. And I was talking about the first song I heard off of that was Bombs Over Baghdad. I was at some friend's house, these girls' house, and watching The Sopranos and listening to music too, and I heard that song, and then that album blew up shortly after that with I'm Sorry, Miss Jackson. All that great music. Other Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees are Warren Zevon, and Warren Zevon, Werewolves London, and Soundgarden, of course. I've always loved Soundgarden. I talk about Soundgarden on here a lot. Chris Cornell is just, I get more amazed by Chris Cornell as the years go by, and I've always loved Soundgarden. So it's very cool that they're getting in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they've been, getting together. I think I've seen them with Jerry Cantrell. It wouldn't surprise me if Chris's daughter turns up and sings some songs for the ceremony. She's a great singer. Just, cool that artists are getting recognized, because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a very polarizing thing. There's a lot of people that should be in there that aren't in there, and a lot of people that probably shouldn't be in there that are. So people feel very conflicted about it. But it's cool if you do get recognized, like some of these bands like Soundgarden are, and they should definitely be in there. Next in the news, Bob Dylan's song was removed from a political ad for the guy that won the mayoral race in New York. His name is Mandani, Zohran Mandani. And Universal, Bob doesn't have his catalog anymore. Universal Music has his catalog, and it's a stipulation either from them or maybe something they signed with Dylan when they bought the catalog, or I'm not sure how all that works. I think Bob had his catalog probably and sold it at some point. Some of these artists got so fucked over when they signed their contracts that they've never owned their music. And, it's just a crazy thing. That was a big thing in the 60s and 70s where artists didn't even own their own music in many cases and had to go back and get it in some way. So, but Universal said that, Dylan's music does not get used in political ads whatsoever. Maybe that just wasn't their guy. I don't know. But anyway, it was pulled, and from what I've heard about Mandani, he's not on the Trump train, so he's all right with me. At least on that matter. It is what it is. We were talking last week about Dylan. Dylan. Anyway, let's get into some music history as well. So, in 1965, on November 6, 1965, the Stones were at number one with, they were 2 weeks at number one with Get Off My Cloud, which is a very cool song. This was their second song that went to number one in America. The first song was Satisfaction. And then Get Off My Cloud, very cool song. I'm a huge Stones fan. If you've watched any of the channel or, see any of my posts anywhere, I post a lot of Stones stuff. The Rolling Stones were my first concert. So anytime there's some Stones news, I'll talk about that. I love the Stones. That was 65. Then in 67, we've got Dylan again. Uh, Maybe that's where I was going with Dylan instead of last week. Yeah. It's been a long week. I've been putting out a lot of music content. A lot of, the song, the new video. I've been staying up late working on this stuff, and I've been getting up early and working at my job. So, I'm a little scatterbrained, but I'm still, right up until I turned on this camera, I was working on this new session. So 67, Dylan, what's it say? Dylan had a 3-hour session at Columbia in Nashville. And what that session produced was a song called John Wesley Harding and a little song called All Along the Watchtower, which we know a lot of people have done that song, most notably Jimi Hendrix redid that song. So very cool that Dylan was recording at Columbia in Nashville, did a 3-hour session and came out with these songs. That's pretty early Dylan, 67. Not, I think he'd went electric by then. He definitely went electric by then. But still early Dylan, great Dylan. Cool, just cool. Then in 1970, Aerosmith had their first gig at a place called Nipmuc Regional High School in Mendon, Massachusetts. So that was Aerosmith's first gig in 1970. I know Aerosmith put out the first album and it didn't really get any traction, but it had Dream On it. And then after they put out maybe Toys in the Attic or the second album, I think Toys was the third album if I'm not mistaken. But then people went back and found Dream On and it really blew up. But Dream On was on that first record. But their first gig was this day in 1970. Also, I've got the guitar hooked up, so we might play a little guitar just because, switch it up. Man, when nobody's clicking on the live stream, which is sometimes the case, it's like I'm just making sure everything sounds good and talking and just doing the damn thing. Because it's like I try to do the work. Like I put out the long form video today, and it did well. So, it's like I like to keep not all my eggs in one basket. With the YouTube shit and the social media too. I'm not on TikTok because it's just not my thing. I don't think I've never really been on TikTok, but it doesn't seem like my thing. So it's like I'm not gonna, and that might be the thing I should do, but really, all this, the videos I love to make, like the long form videos, and because I'm always talking about something that I want to talk about, and sometimes they do poorly, and sometimes like today they've done really well. But it's always something I love to do with that. And this I also like to do because it's all stuff I'm interested in. But this was really to try and get some community going. And it's just like, I don't know what to do to get YouTube to suggest this to people at all. It's, if they don't give you a chance, it's like, what are you going to do? So, but we're going to keep doing it, because people are starting to hear the music and people are watching the other videos and maybe they'll come on over, and I just dig music, man, So, the next year after Aerosmith did that first gig, Isaac Hayes was at number 1 on November 6th with Shaft. I wish I had a wah-wah pedal here. I've got a big old pedal board, but I don't have a wah-wah anymore. I want to get the what is it? The Mick Ronson, the new Mick Ronson Crybaby. It's like blue. It looks very cool, and I love Mick Ronson. I love Bowie, so I think we're gonna get that Wawa. Uh, those Wawas though, if you look on Sweetwater, they're staying sold out. You can hit the little notification thing where they'll notify you when some come in, but and I did, and they haven't came in. So maybe we'll get that new Wawa. Christmas is coming up. I got a lot of presents to buy, but we're gonna get that Wawa at some point. Um, 73. This is a very cool story. There's been movies made about this. Phil Kaufman, Graham Parsons' manager, was fined $300 in the court for stealing Graham Parsons' body. So Graham Parsons, very famous country player with the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers, and even had some Stones, like when the Stones were recording Exile on Main Street in France. Keith and Graham were hanging out a lot at Keith's house while that record was being recorded, and Graham was a big influence on Keith. You know, those open tunings. I think Keith actually probably heard like the open G first from Ry Cooder, or the old blues guys probably. But that was something that him and Graham got into, I know, in those country licks. And Graham, just a great guitar player. He liked to do the substances. Him and Keith both liked heroin, and he ended up dying in 73, not very long after, him and Keith were tight. And he at some point had told Phil Kaufman, if I ever die, when I die, if something happens, like the rock and roll thing, take me out to Joshua Tree and burn me. And that's, I think that, that was the plan. And Phil Kaufman got away with taking his body from the morgue, and, I think the charge was theft of a corpse, but it's very rock and roll 70s, drug fueled, cool thing to do, just crazy story. And sticking with the craziness line of stories, in 75, the Sex Pistols played their first gig on November 6th, 1975. So, Sex Pistols played their first gig at the St. Marlin School of Art. I don't know if some of the members were going to school there, or if they just knew people going to school there, or if they just got the gig, but I know they really shook things up not too long after that. The Sex Pistols, brought punk into the world pretty much, from my point of view. Last week on the live stream we talked about it was the anniversary of Sid's death. After, Nancy Spungen was found dead, Sid died not too long after that. We talked about that on the live stream last week. In 76, the Steve Miller Band was at number one on November 6th with, what is it? Rockin' Me. Keep on rocking me, baby. So that was 76. And then the same year, Blue Oyster Cult got to number 12 with this very cool song, Don't Fear the Reaper. So when Rockin' Me Baby was at number 1, BOC was at number 12 with Don't Fear the Reaper, and that was their highest charting song. And I love to just talk about these cool classic rock songs because I can. It's my live stream, and I'll talk about classic rock because I love it. Then in 81, and this is one of the first songs that ever remember really sticking in my head because I had an alternate lyric for it. I'm not going to say it on here, but I remember what it was because I was very, very young. I was born in 80. This song came out in 81, and this album, the Fourth Cars album called Shake It Up, came out. The song Shake It Up as well. I love the Cars, all their stuff, from Moving in Stereo, Shake It Up, Drive, the first record, all the records, Cherry-O. I love the Cars. You should too. And then in 82, on this day, Joe Cocker and Jennifer Warren were at number one, or I think they were at number one. Or, yeah, they were at number one with Up Where We Belong off the soundtrack for Officer and a Gentleman. Lord, lift me up where we belong. Yeah, that song. I'm going to sing on here because, ain't nobody on here anyway. And I sing. You see me singing in the, in the thing. I am not Joe Cocker. I would never claim to be Joe Cocker. But I will sing. Especially if I wrote it, I'll sing it. If I didn't write it, I'll sing it. And then in 1990, this is something that really sticks out in my mind because this was huge. If you're my age, you're an MTV kid, an MTV baby. MTV also came out in 81, and Madonna was very controversial in the late night, from the mid 80s to really her whole career, but especially from like starting in about 88 to, I don't know, 93, 94. Madonna was huge. She had the book out called Sex. She had Truth or Dare out. And in 1990, she had, what is it? The video where she was on the cross. Anyway, but around that time too, she, in 1990, Justify My Love, which is a song she wrote, or maybe Lenny Kravitz wrote the whole thing. I think he did and gave it to her. But the video got banned from MTV, and it's very kind of vanilla now compared to what we see now. But in 1990, it definitely wasn't very vanilla. It was very spicy. And we all, if you're my age and you were into music, like I've always been into music, always watched MTV and listened to music. My first concert was the Stones when I was 9, and just, music has been a staple thing in my life, and that's why I do music. That's why I do podcasts, live streams. That's why I make long form videos. That's why I release music now that I can, now that I have a studio. You gotta forgive me. I've got my work, man, and it's really sucks because I'm a guitar player, but I have to deal with this chemical, and it really dries my hands out, and they're like tore up right now. But music ain't paying the bills. It's not really for many people. It's crazy where music has, how far it's fallen. I mean, in ways it's more amazing than ever because we can all release music, but very few people are getting, paid for it. If you're playing gigs, like, playing local gigs and stuff, you can make money and probably be professional, do it as your only source of income. But for me, being a single dad, I need something stable, and music definitely isn't stable for me right now. If I could go out and play gigs, I would definitely do that. I like being home with my son, but if somebody, if I had a club owner or something say, I like all your stuff, I'll let you play and I'll pay you, and come do that, I would try very hard to put a band together. You know, I could play a 2 hour set. You know, there'd be some covers in there, and I'd write some new ones, and you know, I would love to do that, but it's just there's it's very hard to get eyes and ears on the music. That's why if you tell me what you think. Also, I know I've said this before, but tell me what you think about playlists. Is there a way? Is there like why did I end up on this playlist? Is it just because the music was good, or is it because of when I released it? Is it because you know what does it mean? I know you have to kind of get playlisted to get heard. Really, all the big artists are on playlists. It's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, but regardless, they're on the playlist, and it's it seems like a vital part of getting music out there in the world, where it actually gets some traction is playlists and promotion and algorithms, and it's a very complicated thing, and I've been trying to navigate it for a couple years now, and like it'll do good for a while, and then it'll drop off, and um, the main thing is it's my art, and it's what I love to do. It's also therapeutic for me, and it feels good, and I like to create things. But I'm not going to throw a bunch of money at a song. If it can't stand on its own 2 feet, then, it is what it is. And it's really not even given a chance to stand on its own 2 feet. Granted, there are things occasionally that blow up with no money behind it or anything, but those are very rare, and it's a very lucky thing. And all these things that I hear say the same thing. Most of the people that blow up. I was watching this guy today. I wish I could remember his name. I should have put it on this paper before the live stream. But he was a cool artist. He did more of a. He's a white guy, but he did rap or hip hop, and he was talking about his trajectory, and now he's getting, I think, 1 million listens a month on Spotify. And he said at one point he was putting $250 a month into promotion for each song. But he's out of, I think, Virginia, and his name's on the tip of my tongue, but I'll think of it as soon as I shut the live stream off. Let me see what time we're at. Okay, 6:40 or 9:43. All right. So Justify My Love was banned in 90. Then in 92, Rage Against the Machine's debut album came out. So that's a huge record for me. All of the Rage Against the Machine catalog is huge for me. Protest music, rebel music, great music is what it is. And that first Rage album, I think that was Andy Wallace that did that record, the mixing and engineering and the whole thing. Just great sounding record, man. Nothing sounds like Rage to this day. Nothing sounds like Rage. And nothing ever will get that energy quite in that same way. I love Rage Against the Machine. Zach, Tom Morello, Tim on the bass, the whole, everybody. It's just great record. Then in 93, Pearl Jam, another one of the bands that I really love. I love all those early 90s bands, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, STP, Rage, Soundgarden. I talk about all those bands every chance I get, because when I was starting to play music, that's what was hot. And it's better than the stuff that came in the later 90s. There was some good stuff in the later 90s, like Days of the New is one. They're pretty local guys right up the road, Days of the New. You know, bands like Candlebox and uh, Collective Soul was cool. Bush was cool. Oasis. But for me, it's the earlier part of the '90s, and like Pearl Jam's still going to this day. I've seen Pearl Jam 4 times. I love Pearl Jam. They're one of my favorite bands, as a matter of fact. But on November 6th, Pearl Jam spent their first week at number one. They got 900. They sold 950,378 records in 1 week, and versus a great record. They did that with Brendan O'Brien. That was their second record. Then Vitology after that. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Yeah, versus then Vitology, and it's just a killer record. You want to hear my guitar tone that I've got? I might play a little something. I don't want to give away my new music, really. Last time, like this new release that is up on the, on the playlist, I did the production on these live streams. I went through like the guitars as I was tracking them. I had some of them tracked, but I was tracking in others, and playing those things on live streams. I always keep the vocals kind of private till it comes out, because that's a very personal thing for me, doing vocals. And without the processing on there, they're not, you're going to hear a more direct sound. So you're not really getting the picture of what the vocals really sound like anyway on a live stream. But for this song, I really don't want to give away any of it on the live streams, because I really feel like it's a powerful riff, and I just don't want to. There's not enough people clicking the live stream things anyway. So, if one asshole came on here and stole my song for like no views, I just ain't gonna do it. But I'll play a little guitar. You can hear the rig. We've got a little bit of time left, so play guitar. Let me turn on this DI. This is just a digital amp sim. It's the Jim's 45. Let's do some delay. I like to use this Bixby pedal a lot. Let's see. If y'all are into amp sims, or not really into amp sims but want to get something that's cool and like I like to play through my Brill amps on my music, but on a lot of songs, this Gems 45 has made the cut for something. And on a few of the songs, it's actually been the solo. Like, it's never more than one guitar part on one of my songs. Usually just maybe one little section. But a few times it's been the solo section. And this is just, the chain is just this Les Paul P90. It's a 95 R4. Going into a Warm Audio Centavo, which is a clone. Then going into the Strymon Timeline, which is up here on my desk. You saw me reach over. The reason it's up on my desk, I have a few pedals, the Timeline, also the Strymon Flint, and the Carbon Copy from MXR up here, because I mix through those pedals a lot. I also mix through like my Rat pedal, sometimes Big Muffs, my chorus is down there. I have a CE2W chorus. I also have a Behringer, the yellow Behringer chorus. It's cool too. It's a different chorus. It's I think based on the Boss Super chorus, which is cool. That CE2W is really cool. And then down here on the floor, I have the Bigsby pedal because I like to be able to get to it. It does a lot of cool shit. Like if something happened to my Bigsby pedal, I'd have to get another one. And they're not cheap. It's a good pedal. Like if I play a baritone part, I do it with the Bigsby. The guitars, have y'all been having problems with the guitars staying in tune with the weather changing? It's always a thing if you're from where I'm from. That wood changes, with the cold air, with the heat, with the humidity, changes. We're getting close to 10 o'clock. I'm going to end this because I haven't had a damn viewer or comment or anything. If you have any tips on how to get the algorithm juiced up on live streams, I'm all ears. If you're watching this later, leave me a comment in the comment section. Let me know, what you think. Go check out the video about outboard gear. Let me show you again what it is. Show you that thumbnail again. Oh, not that. Is it this? Well, where'd it go now? No, I can't find it. Here it is. Okay, so go watch this video. Here's the thumbnail for it. Go watch this one. Right there. Do not buy outboard gear until you watch this video. Check that video out. And I'm going to leave you with, let me flip me back over here. I'm going to leave you with another song. We're going to play another one to roll out on, which is kind of my thing. I usually start the video. I did it a little bit later because I just wanted to talk at first on this one. But let's roll out with another video. And you all have a good weekend. Peace and love and music. And let's get another video up. Have a good night and a good weekend. And live life to the fullest. Let's just play the same one again, because it's the new one. It just came out on Halloween. Let's rock it, man. I'm going to play it again. And you can go stream this. It's Don't Be Precious, Thirsty Deer. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment. Even if it's an asshole comment, say it. You know, whatever. Peace. Good night. Rock and roll. Here's the video.